What is next generation learning for you and how would you describe it?
I think for me, next generation learning is very much about having the participants play a very active role. So it's not about them being a passive audience, just being force-fed, new knowledge and messages, but it's about them going into dialogue with each other, contributing ideas, their experience, and so forth. So it's a collaborative effort.
What are the new methods in learning and leadership development and strategy?
Well, for me, I think that one of the key methods that we'll see accelerate in the coming years is very much about gamification and very much about using simulation and gameplay to try to help people work and master very complicated issues along the way. So regarding new methods, I think that what we'll see a lot in the coming years is gamification and the use of simulation and games to try to master some of the complicated issues regarding future leadership. Because it's not enough to have read the book. It's not enough to have the academic knowledge. You have to act it out. It's a little bit like if you want to know about swimming. You can read books about swimming, but you have to get wet. And I think that the games is a great way to get wet, to get into a learning environment, to test things out, but you can make learningful mistakes. But instead of real colleagues, real clients, and real budgets, it's only game pieces and monopoly money. So I think we'll see a lot more of gamification going forward.
Okay, and how would you describe the effects of these new methods on learning process? And what would you say if you were to associate this with psychological behavior and design of learning?
I think that the key effect is, I think one source of inspiration is how the mind works. And I think that one element we can see is that if people are engaged and if they are contributing themselves, they remember the content much, much better. It's like, and as I mentioned before, we use a lot of working with simulation and games, and our participants, they're dreaming about the sessions afterwards. And I think the one key element is that the brain is using adrenaline and dopamine to tell the brain to remember. So if you engage people, if the adrenaline is getting up, if the dopamine is getting higher, well, that's a key signal in the brain to remember what is going on right now. And it comes from back in the jungle when if we were like a lion was after us and we climbed into a tree. Well, that good tactic about escaping and surviving by going up a tree, it's something the brain wanted us to remember. And so it was triggering adrenaline and dopamine. And when you're engaged, especially like in a game-based setup, with a little bit of competition, hard challenges and so forth, you're really using yourself. That is a way of telling the body this is very important. You have to remember it. And the good thing about simulations is that you can simulate a lion. You don't have to have a real lion. It doesn't have to be a real life and death situation, but you can use a simulation, but get the same kind of emotional involvement, and then the same kind of very high learning.
That was real. Thank you very much.
Thank you.